I died slowly, and you didn't notice. I didn't die in a single moment. There was no great explosion, no sudden collapse, no trumpet sound to signal the end. I died slowly, like a tree in drought, leaves falling one by one, roots choking beneath poisoned soil. And you didn't notice. You were too busy, too distracted, too loud. You were staring at screens, arguing with strangers, counting likes, chasing trends, forgetting history. And while you were watching, scrolling, shouting, I faded. You used to see me in your morning routines, in the way you raised your children, in how you greeted your neighbor, in how you bowed your head before dinner and stood still for the anthem. But then I became background noise, a faded memory, a worn-out song playing in the distance while you danced to a different rhythm. I whispered for help, but you only heard me when the news told you to. I screamed in silence, but you were already gone. I didn't die on the battlefield. I've survived those. I didn't die when towers fell or when cities burned. I've endured that too. No, I died in the quiet betrayals. I died every time truth was traded for convenience. Every time honor was laughed at. Every time loyalty to country became loyalty to party. I died when right became relative and wrong became trending. You didn't see it, did you? When families stopped eating together. When fathers vanished from homes. When children were handed screens instead of stories. You didn't see me slipping when church pews emptied, when cemeteries filled, when heroes became villains and villains became influencers. You didn't see it when freedom was redefined as doing whatever I want, and patriotism was reduced to colors worn, not principles lived. I tried to hold on, to stay alive in your libraries, your town halls, your Pledge of Allegiance. But the pages yellowed, the halls emptied. The pledges became routine, hollow, recited with lips, not hearts. You honored me with fireworks, but forgot me on voting day. You waved flags in July, but ignored the homeless veteran in January. I died when love for country was mistaken for hate of those who question it. I died when debate became war and disagreement became treason. I died when you stopped listening, stopped learning, stopped caring, when humility was mocked and pride was weaponized. When your identity became a jersey and every conversation was a battlefield. I remember when you used to cry for me, when you wept in classrooms learning about the fallen, when you stood in silence at memorials, holding your child's hand, grateful for the freedom you did not earn but inherited. I remember when my name brought a lump in your throat. Now it brings a shrug, or worse, a smirk. You think I'm still here. That because the lights are on and the stores are open and the planes still fly, that I must still be alive. But nations don't die in fire. They die in forgetfulness. They die when the people no longer believe, no longer strive, no longer remember. I died when we the people became me first, when service became selfishness, when sacrifice became a punchline, when character stopped matching. I died when justice became partisan, when mercy became weakness, when history became inconvenient. I was once your North Star. I guided your soldiers. I steadied your farmers. I comforted your widows. I was in the songs your mothers sang, in the dreams your fathers chased. I stood in the background of your victories, quiet but proud. But you replaced me, with noise, with bitterness, with false gods. I watched you rewrite what it meant to be free. You made freedom about indulgence, not integrity. You made liberty a slogan, not a stewardship. You forgot that the chains broken by your forefathers were not just physical, they were spiritual. You forgot that freedom costs, and the price is responsibility. I saw it in your schools, where education turned into indoctrination, where children were taught what to feel, not how to think, where heroes were erased and villains were celebrated, not out of truth, but convenience. I watched the light in their eyes dim, their wonder replaced with cynicism, their pride replaced with shame. That was a wound too deep to scream. So I whispered, but you didn't hear. I died in your cities, when crime no longer shocked you, when needles littered sidewalks, when sirens became lullabies, when children learned to duck before they learned to read. I died in your small towns, when factories closed, when Main Street vanished, when dignity was replaced by despair and no one came to notice. I died when suicide rates climbed and hope plummeted. I died when money mattered more than meaning, when you sold your souls for status, when your identity was reduced to a job title, and your worth was measured in followers. I died when you no longer looked up at the stars with wonder, but down at your phones with anxiety, When you stopped asking, what can I give? And only asked, what do I get? And now? Now you walk through my ruins and call it progress. Now you build taller buildings on crumbling foundations. Now you rewrite me, then wonder why you feel lost. But here's the truth. I'm not entirely gone. Not yet. Because while I died slowly, I can also return slowly. If you choose to revive me. Not with flags, but with faith. Not with noise, but with courage. Not with pride, but with humility. You must love each other again. Not for what divides you, but for what you share. You must remember the oath that brought you here, the blood that bought your peace. You must raise your children not to hate, but to honor. Not to rewrite history, but to learn from it. You must let the silence grow loud again. And in that silence, you'll hear me. I'm still in your old books. Still in your family photos. Still in your prayers, even the forgotten ones. I'm in the soldier who still salutes. In the teacher who still believes. In the mother who whispers bedtime stories of freedom. I'm in the farmer's hands. The pastor's sermon. The nurse's late shift. I'm in every act of quiet faith. But I can only live again if you want me to. I can only rise if you kneel. Not in protest, but in humility. Not to shame others, but to cleanse yourself. I don't need perfection. I need repentance. I don't need noise. I need stillness. I don't need your rituals. I need your hearts. Because I am not just a flag, not just a land, not just a name. I am a soul, and that soul has been dying. But if you remember me, if you return, then maybe, just maybe, I can live again.